Okay,
That's the wrong question.
squares and square roots are sometimes in the no calculator question, or the no calculator first 5 questions. Now, this is, if we came across this is saying what the square root of 64 is what. Now they could write that out, or they could write it with the little radical house funky division sign. And all that means is something times itself gives us 64. This is a great time to put the answers in the problem. So we could just do 2 times 2 is 4. Let me get my invisible ink. 2 times 2 is 4, so that's no good. 4 times 4 is 16, so that's no good. 6 times 6 is 36, that's no good. 8 times 8 is 64, so that's our
That's good. And that's good.
The next version that they can ask is, what if they put a 3 there? And when the numbers get small, they're repeaters. And all they're saying is, it's that now. What number times itself gives you 64? So when they're exponents or they're on that little house, they're repeaters. So we say the number 3 times. Now we get to test the numbers again, no big deal. So we test them out. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, so that's no good. 4 times 4 times 4, well, 4 times 4 is 16, and 16 times 4 is 64, so that's our winner. Now what this question at GEDpracticequestions.com does is that. Now it's a really good move because it would be very easy to see this and think undefined. This is undefined. But the fact that they put the little 3 there, man, that is tricky. I don't know if GED would be that tricky, but that is tricky. But either way, nothing wrong with testing out the answers. So all they're saying is something times itself. Why are my question marks getting funky?
Yes, they are.
I know, man. I got some style in there. It's not me. So if we did -2 times -2 times -2,
it'd be -8.
It would work out to -8. That is a tricky, good question. So what's the thing? Is the takeaway is not to feel overwhelmed by the yet another tricky way to ask a question. There are only so many ways they can ask questions, and they ask them fairly consistently. So the normal way that they started this video or this thing with square root of 64 or however they write it or whatever, that's more straightforward. Throwing the negative in there, that's pretty tricky. But that's what the site does. It does a good job of it.
Jeff, so if you see a negative in there like that, that means that answer is going to be a negative, right?
If it's a 3, yeah. So like we said, the reason this is undefined is that that's the square root, which means there's an invisible 2 here. There's a ghost 2, and that's it. So no number times itself can end up with a negative number, not in the real world. In imaginary numbers it can, but we're not dealing with that. So undefined, no number times itself can give a negative number. Putting that 3 though, it does, because like we said when we did this, that turned into +4, but we had to do it a 3rd time, which flipped it back to negative. It's a good question, but that is, of all the different versions of cube and square root questions, that's by far the hardest. There will be easier ones.